This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today, we have a great neighbor on with us, and that is Dr. Peter Wilson of Collaborative Health Group. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, Sean. Thanks for having me.
So I did a quick little research about like 2 minutes before you came on the show. I had an extra minute to spare. And then I went on there and seen, I was like, health group. I'm like, I wonder what that kind of, really entails. And then, of course, seeing the pictures behind you, it makes it a little bit more obvious. But for those who are maybe not aware, why don't we dive into it? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure, yeah. So I'm a chiropractor, and I took over an existing business in Collingwood about 8 years ago now. Brought in a massage therapist and got an acupuncturist, and then also adding a counselor coming up in the fall too. So the whole idea of Collaborative Health Group is that it's a collaboration between me and you as a client, but also a collaboration of a bunch of health practitioners, then working with your existing practitioners as well too.
Very nice. And so on the counseling side of things, is this, following up for post-injury, making sure they're doing their workouts? Is it more on the mental health side of things?
Yeah, no, full-on registered psychotherapist. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so actually my wife is just finishing her master's in counseling and psychotherapy. So we're going to create some space for her. That's fantastic. We're going to create some space for her here at the clinic, I think, and she'll be able to take some of that on. There's a huge connection between our mental health and pain. That kind of goes without saying.
Yeah, 100%. So you can officially say family-run business.
That's it. Yeah. Although if she asks, she's the boss. Just say it that way.
Lips are sealed. If she ever asks,
yeah,
you got it. I got your back.
Yeah. What is it that is your wife part of the Good Neighbor thing as well? Or?
She's a florist.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of different things outside of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Is probably about one of 10 things that we offer. We're on the marketing side of things and helping connect people together, hosting community networking events, and helping brand local businesses here in our region of Simcoe County. And so I ended up walking into her shop one day, and that's how we met. Next thing you know, we lived together. Everything's going the right direction, and I think I found my life partner. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. And now you got a 17-year-old.
Yeah, inherited a 17-year-old. Got lucky. She is absolutely phenomenal. So we have a dad-daughter date tonight to go watch the Garfield movie in the theater. So won't miss that for the world. That one is not going to get cut. We'll see if it's either the run, the dinner, or or the chamber event. Something's got to give here in order to fit everything in. Just one of those weeks we're heading out to Winnipeg, my hometown, for a wedding this weekend. We leave on Thursday because every time we go, you got to see grandma, you got to see, everybody else. So it's a condensed week where you got to try to cram everything in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my kids saw the Garfield movie last week. They loved it, but they're younger. They're like 9, 7, and 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember being in elementary school, and every time we would get to go visit the library, I'd always go find the Garfield books. And that's the only thing I ever really touched in the library were those books. So I'm pretty excited to see them.
Oh, perfect.
So, so let's unpack this. A chiropractor, right? There's, from my understanding in my limited amount, but I have met and sat down to learn a few businesses when it comes to the chiropractic world. They're not the same. There's a bunch of different ways that you can kind of do it. Sometimes it's just on the adjustment. Some guys and girls focus on, the spine and only the spine, and so on and so forth. So kind of what area would you kind of define on where you take your practice and how you move your business?
Yeah, for me, again, I kind of take a bit of a holistic approach. I love treating the back because that's what we're really well known for and well positioned to treat. But if your back's bothering you, you better believe I'm going to be looking at your hips and your knees. And if I'm looking at your knees, I'm going to be looking at how your foot's contacting the ground and kind of taking a ground up approach as well as a top sort of down approach. So it's pretty holistic. Some of the muscles for the lower back start in the upper back. So we sometimes have to chase things up a little bit as well. You kind of hit the nail on the head, though, that there are some chiropractors that somebody has a bad experience with, and unfortunately, with our profession, that leads people to just decide that, well, chiropractic didn't work for me. Whereas if you went to a mechanic and you had a bad experience, you would probably just find a better mechanic, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
It
And
kind of
knowledge
helps.
is power, really, right? With people, and teaching them a lot of this stuff goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm kind of more like a body mechanic, I guess. My whole ethos is to just keep people enjoying the things they want to do. It makes me sad when you hear people are having to pass up going to the movies with their kids, or not being able to run, or missing out on social events because they have a headache or something like that. There's more that can be done to kind of help keep people doing the things they want to do.
Yeah, pinched nerves, things in the wrong place. I got this neck thing going on. I've been sleeping wrong. It was worse like 2 weeks ago, and I know I kind of like, I'm almost at that thing. Should I go? Should I not go? Probably a good idea if I go.
Probably not a bad idea. I usually tell people, give it 3 or 4 days and work through the checks and balances that you have and the tools in your toolbox. But if it's still bugging you after 3 or 4 days, then go see somebody. Go see anybody. Massage, chiro, physio, osteopath. Like, pick someone. They're all good. They all help.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, for my whole life, I've playing hockey, lower back. It's been obviously the core factors in to a lot of that stuff. But
Yeah.
we have a family chiropractor been using for a while, and I ended up starting my hockey season, and then but I've been kind of working out, so like my abs were good, so I knew that wasn't the problem, and I was having crazy lower back problems. I'd have to lay on the bench between shifts.
Oh God.
Stretch myself out. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And we got to a point, so I finally went to go see him, and he's like, he worked my hips, just like you said.
Yeah.
And so that's a common practice, especially if I'm going to go on runs before I do anything, really making sure I'm doing that on a consistent basis to keep those nice and wide, as that factors in with all that stuff, which is crazy.
That's exactly it. You hit it for sure.
And as well too, like, not a lot of people like think about this stuff, but the way that your feet touch the ground and the way that you walk, and with one thing starts getting out of line or misaligned, it kind of works its way all the way up, and that can even be something to do with migraines.
It can, yeah, sure. It's a bit of a stretch to get people to see that whole picture, but for headaches and migraines and stuff like that, we'll even just talk about posture. Heck, we'll talk about if you've been to your optometrist lately, because if you're having to squint to see what's going on, that's we can fix the muscles and kind of work on that stuff. But unless you go get your eyes checked and get your prescription updated, then you're just going to keep adopting those postures. And that's compensations.
It's a super fascinating profession. I've always been intrigued by it, but I got passed by my mom. She gave me a kind of a trait where, like, I can't really analyze those pictures that are behind you. And for those who are listening to the audio version of this, they're bodies of human beings with the muscles and the names of the muscles and where they all go and all that stuff. And she's super queasy, and she gave it to me. I just can't do it.
So cadaver lab, no way.
No way. No, I passed out in the hospital once. I want to try to not do that again. So
that's fair.
So everybody's got a bit of a journey to how they get in there. Some people have been doing it for a really long time. They were kind of born with that talent, or knew that they always wanted to do it, were super passionate about it. Other people, a bit of a different avenue. Sometimes it's like the Mazda Zoom commercial, it's all over the place. And so I'm curious to ask you, what was your journey like into leading up into doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, so growing up, I grew up over in Owen Sound, and was always active as a kid. So like played hockey and soccer, and like some fairly competitive soccer, and then skied and snowboarded. And always just hurt myself here, there, and everywhere. And my parents took me to the chiropractor when I was younger, and whenever I left there, I felt a lot better and was able to kind of keep on doing what I wanted to do. So I knew that I wanted to be in a profession where I could help people. And I wasn't a big pill guy. Like I would take the odd Advil or Tylenol here and there, but really I didn't mind pain. Pain kind of told me what I should and shouldn't be doing and helped me sort of throttle what I should do and when I should kind of back off. And so I started to look at professions that help manage people's bodies. So I was looking at the massage, the physio, chiropractic, and I just kind of got drawn into chiropractic.
And was that prior to, like you said, you've been in your place for 8 years now?
Yeah, so I've been practicing since 2011, so we're 13 years coming up this fall. Prior to being here, I worked out of a place over in Wasaga Beach, and prior to that, I covered a locum, so while someone was off on mat leave over in Barrie.
Okay.
So I guess to answer your question, I think I figured it out in high school when I took my grade 11 or 12 kinesiology course, and we had to learn all the muscles in the joints and, you know, what muscles move what and where they attach and stuff like that. And then I did human kinetics out of Windsor with a movement science specialty, and that really primed my education for chiropractic college, albeit we summarize my education in about the first 3 or 4 weeks of chiropractic college, but that is what it is.
And so when you come out, you can go in and kind of rent a room from somebody. There's different ways to kind of go about it, or you can decide to own your own clinic and be your own boss. I mean, most of the time, obviously, renting a room, you're your own boss. But what was that, just from a business owner perspective, that thing in your mind where you decided, you know what, I want to open this up, and I want to, collaborative health group, and really want to add the pieces to the puzzle here to have that full kind of 360-degree holistic approach to be able to help more people?
Yeah. So I did start out working as an associate, which is, I work for a percentage of the money that comes in. The rest goes to the business owner, so to speak. But even when I sourced that clinic, I'd said that eventually I'd like to own a clinic. That's kind of my end goal. And so this opportunity presented itself in Collingwood, and it was a no-brainer as far as going. I want to be able to pull the strings and assemble the people that I'd like to have a little more say in things. Probably made more money as an associate, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to find good people as well too. So when you're able to nail that down and have a bit of a culture, I mean, it just really makes the experience of coming to work that much more fun. Obviously, helping people the way you do definitely fills your cup, but also who you surround yourself with as well too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So are there any in the chiropractor world, are there any like myths or misconceptions when it comes to doing what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. And we chatted about this just a little bit before about how not every chiropractor is the same. Just like not every mechanic's the same, not every web designer is the same. And you really just have to find somebody that sort of speaks to what you need and you respond to. It's a relationship, right? And it's a bit of an intimate relationship. And if you don't believe me, I spent 2 years touching people where you weren't even allowed to be in the room with somebody else, right, during COVID. So it's gotta work, and you gotta get benefit from it. That's the main thing. So if you have a bad experience, find somebody else. Ask around, ask your friends, and give it a shot. The biggest misconception with chiropractic is that you have to keep going. Once you go, you have to keep going, and that's not true with an asterisk. It's true in the sense that if you keep doing the things that brought you there in the first place, well, then you're going to have to keep going because you haven't, heeded any of the advice that we've given you, done any of the exercises, done any of the work, or made any adjustments to your lifestyle, posture, whatever it is that caused it. That's one of the biggest misconceptions, I would say.
Do you see that a lot where people come in, get the advice, and then don't really take it, and then they're back on that?
I'm at the point in my career where I'll even ask people, I'll say, hey, there's some stretches and some exercises that you could do that'll probably help this. Do you like, if I give them to you, will you do them? And they'll say, no, probably not. I said, okay, cool. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. So, bye. I can do that for you. I'm not going to sit here and watch you do exercises. It bores me to tears. I'll send you to physio all day long. We've got some great physios in the area. and they'll sit and watch you do exercises.
They like it that much, coming in for the conversation, eh?
Yeah, no, I shouldn't say that. Physios are fantastic. They do a lot more than that. But watching people do exercises, it's not my jam. I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, and they're not like overly crazy. They're, you take 15 minutes out of your day, 10 minutes out of your day, get them done in the morning, or when you come home from work, or when you're sitting there at lunch eating your sandwich, whatever the case is, you can get them done. And it goes really a long way to practice that healing process once you get adjusted.
Yeah, we ride this old carcass pretty hard, right? We don't we take a lot from the bank and we don't put a lot in as far as taking care of our bodies. We demand a lot of them.
Yeah, that rings 100% true.
Yeah. Most people could stand to stretch. Start stretching.
So I got a funny story for you.
Yeah.
I started getting back into running and I needed an accountability partner. So I called my neighbor next door. He's a couple of years older than me. So I said, hey, Chris, let's go. You want to run? Like, let's pick after work at the, once a week. Let's just start with that, see how it goes. And I knew I also need to get back into it. And so on Monday last week, we went for our first run. I think I made it around the block before my lower back started hurting. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to suffer through almost 5K worth of running with this. Because my abs are just like not strong at all from that perspective. And then so I'm like, okay, well, I got to do my abs. So I did P90X Ab Ripper X.
Yeah.
And I went like super easy. Like everyone's doing 25. I'm like, you can get to 15. Like you're good. I took my time with it, and then I couldn't walk for 2 days after.
Nice. Yeah, I remember I got back into the gym a couple years ago, and I was like, I'm going to do legs, right? I'm still active. I play a bunch of sports, but I hadn't worked out legs. I think I did squats, deadlifts, split squats, weighted lunges, farmer carries, and then I did extensions and curls. And I was like, yeah, that felt good. Like the legs are a little shaky. I couldn't sit down on the toilet for like 2 weeks. It was ridiculous.
Oh my God.
So checking your ego is the key for sure. Otherwise, you wind up seeing people like me. And we talk about check your ego. Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in that work-life harmony and being able to play the tunes the right way so that the melody comes out nice, because we do work a lot. But I like to have a lot of fun
Nice.
at the same time. So I want to point that question over to you and ask you, when you're not working on or in your business, what does Peter like to do for fun?
Yeah, well, I've got 3 young kids. So my daughter is 9. She's the oldest. My son is 7 and my youngest is 4. So they keep us busy. They like to bike. My son just decided that he wants to play lacrosse this year. So I said, sure, we'll go find some local league to play. Nope, it's U9 travel lacrosse. So we're basically playing AAA hockey of lacrosse. And half the teams never played the sport before, so it's hilarious. But that's like 2-3 nights a week that we're doing that. And then my little guy's just playing some soccer. So family's huge for me. But I play some softball a little bit and some beach volleyball. I kind of sub in for that here and there. And then, that's mostly it.
I'm a beach volleyball guy. I've always enjoyed playing beach. I can never kick a soccer ball, so I played keeper because I can dive for the ball.
Nice.
It's always fun to see what kind of plays you can make, because when you actually land in the sand, it doesn't hurt that much as when you're playing court, right?
Do you play? Do you play beach volleyball then?
So this year, I don't think I'm going to get the chance to with how busy my life is. 2 years prior to that, I got to play. There's a league that's got a couple of courts in Innisfil by the rec center complex. They've got a couple of beach courts there, and just play like co-ed beach. Nothing overly competitive. The second I get into competitive, I'm like the shortest guy. I'm 6'1". I'm the shortest guy on the court, and with how you're out of shape in these days and trying to get back to it, you got these other guys that like live, eat, and breathe it, and it's like you can't even block the ball because they're just going to hit it right over you, and some crazy balls fly towards my face in the years. When I played rep, I played libero because I was the shortest guy on the team, and like scary stuff on how hard these guys can hit the ball. It's wild.
Have you ever played in the Not So Pro tournament at the beach?
I have not played in that league.
You should get a couple of people together for that. It's in, I want to say it's in July this year. It's hands down my favorite weekend of the summer. You're just outside all day. You're guaranteed 18, 20-minute games over the course of 2 days. And there's everything from Rec 6s to Elite 4s. I think they got rid of the 2s. But it's a ton of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, so you kind of pick your punishment. And like we usually do, I think we do advanced 4s with our group. And we kind of hit middle of the pack. You know, you win a couple games and lose a few and everything in between. But it's you're just outside in the sun all day right beside Wasaga Beach and like right down on the beach, and you get hot, you go swimming, they got a beer tent. It's a great weekend if you can swing it.
Sounds like a lot of fun. I'm 100% going to take a look at that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, so sometimes in life we get to a certain point here and decide to, okay, I'm gonna walk this path. This is the best path based off my goals, based off what I want, et cetera, et cetera. And then life sometimes decides it wants to get in the way. Sometimes life will throw tragedies our way. They'll throw life challenges. They'll throw hardships. They'll put a movable object in our way or turn us on a 180 and put us on a completely different path. I know that happened to me in COVID. And so I wanted to ask you if you've ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge in your life that you've overcame. Maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, maybe you took some silver linings from it.
Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate, to be honest. I haven't had any major things. I've had some deaths in the family, which is challenging, of course. But I was talking with my wife about how to answer this question this morning, and I'm gonna bring up the biggest challenge that we faced as a family was deciding to build a house. And we bought this little house. It was 2 beds, 1 bath. We at this point had 3 young kids, like 2 cats, 2 dogs. You know, we were bursting at the seams, right? So we had a 5-year plan to either sever the lot and do an addition, or sever the lot and build, or then do something. So finally, we made the decision to sever and build adjacent to our current tiny house. And we decided to work with a contractor, and it just didn't feel right. As we were going through it, it didn't sit well. There was a couple of things that came up, and we decided eventually to kind of cut ways with the contractor and do a self-build. I mean, at this point, we had 2 young kids, and my wife was just pregnant with the 3rd. So we broke ground on our new construction the Christmas Eve before COVID started, which was just wild. Yeah, so it was weird times, right? I mean, I didn't know what was going on with my job, and you know, if someone had the sniffles in the house, I was off for a minimum of, I think at one point it was 7 days, and then if a new person got the sniffles in the house, then that counter restarted. So it was just wild. So we kind of threw ourselves into the unknown in building a house, and we had little to no experience in construction or the industry. So we learned a ton, brought in a bunch of professionals, and you know, asked a whole bunch of really stupid questions. And there's no such thing as a stupid question unless you ask it twice. So did my best. Yeah. So it was wild. I mean, I had people say that they weren't going to come in onto the site because it was COVID. I'm like, you are the only person on the site. Like, please go.
Yeah, wild times. But what was one of the skills that you gained from that you appreciate the most?
Yeah, just you know, understanding the way the municipality works, even with like all the check boxes that you had to hit, and all the inspections that you have to do, and all the steps along the way, and just managing. I mean, I manage people kind of all the time, right? Whether it's staff, I don't really manage my staff; they're fantastic, but you know, managing relationships with patients and clients and stuff is kind of what I do all the time. But I just kind of use that skill set on a professional level with managing all the contractors and all that stuff. And the cool thing was, I make my money off of helping people, and I was actually able to leverage a lot of my contacts that I made through my work and put food on their table, which felt really good.
Nice.
So
It's
help the
always
people
nice
that put,
Free street like that.
yeah, exactly.
So having to do it yourself, did you have a goal in mind of when you wanted to complete it? Did it take a little longer to put it together, or was it pretty good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I think we were about a year from start to finish, like from breaking ground to finish. So it's a little on the long side, but we didn't have to borrow a ton of money until the end. So that's when we kind of started to push a little bit harder and make sure that things get done. Now, being that we self-contracted, there's still a bunch of projects that have to get done, but that's just how it always is, right?
Oh yeah, the value of home ownership.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was really rewarding to see. We kind of did it out of necessity. We built an in-law suite for my mother-in-law, so she can pull right into the garage, lock up the door, and then walk through the back garage door into her apartment, basically. So that gave her a nice place to live, somewhere where we can keep an eye on her, because she's getting a little bit older and struggling a little bit, and she can be nice and close.
No, that's a big thing these days. A lot of people, especially with the price of everything else, a little bit easier to keep the family together and be able to keep an eye on them. It's a privilege we never really had. We left Winnipeg. I was like 7 years old. We were all young. My two younger sisters. My dad took a career opportunity out here, and then no one really ever left. So they're all still back there in Winnipeg.
I think multi-generation homes are going to be the norm now moving forward, at least in Ontario.
Yeah, 100%. So the house that you built, obviously you guys got to design it the way you want it.
Yeah. So we sat down with a local designer and we worked through maybe six renditions of it. So we made some mistakes, like as you do, and we took some advice and we changed some things, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got like a big or floor to ceiling windows out the back. So we modeled it off kind of like a lake house. Nice. And floor to the peak of the vaulted ceiling, I think, is 24 feet, which is great. And like glass railings, nice big open concept house. I would never do it again. With 3 young kids, like, it's insane. It's just echoes everywhere. Like, you need to go somewhere else, upstairs, downstairs. Like, it's just too loud. But yeah. Wow. Learn things. It's nice. We like it.
Yeah, my parents got to build a custom home, so I got to, being the oldest in the family, being able to be a part of some of that stuff. And I remember my dad and we would always go and check up on what the guys were doing and try to watch them and learn. So the guys were bricking the outside of the house one time, and I know it was starting to get cold out there, so we had like our vests on, our gloves, and we were sitting on the scaffolding with the guys. They gave us the PPE gear so we could crack a beer and just watch them lay brick, and we're asking them all questions about how to lay brick and all this stuff just so we could learn. It was pretty cool, and I got to spend some time with my dad doing it. It was awesome.
That's perfect. Love it.
So what's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
One thing that I wish is it said, I hadn't actually filled this one in on my cheat sheet here. Just that not every chiropractor is the same. When it comes to chiropractic, there's a stigma around chiropractic that, chiropractors cause injuries, right? And that they're going to come in, they're going to twist your neck and twist your back, and they're going to do all this stuff. And we do adjustments, which is, moving the joint to the point of where you hear like that cavitation, gas escaping the joint sort of thing. But we don't have to, right? Actually, I was chatting with a client earlier today who really wants his wife to come in, but she's deathly afraid. And I said, look, come in, we'll have a chat, not unlike this. But I'll kind of demystify it. But in the end, they're in charge of the treatment. We're not going to do anything that they don't want to do. It's not like we're going to sneak up behind them and, Chuck Norris their neck or anything like that. Like, truly are caring people, and we want to see you do better than you're doing now. That's the whole idea. And we'll get there however you allow us to get there, I guess, is the easiest way to say it.
No, 100%. Well said. I'm a big believer being able to teach people education in this day and age. You can go on the internet down any rabbit hole. You can get lost in the telephone game between people, especially if they've had a bad experience. So being able to educate and teach people goes a long way to really understand that you're a good business, that you guys care, you know what you're doing, and just to sit there and a customized approach. And everybody's different. The bodies are different. Everyone lives their life a bit differently, and figuring out what the goals are and helping them attain their goals so that they can do what they enjoy doing the best. It's a pretty rewarding job.
Yeah, I love it.
Phenomenal. Well, look, thank you very much for coming on the show. Great opportunity to get to know you as a human being, learn a little bit more about chiropractic work and that holistic approach for a lot of people, because it's definitely something that is a need in our society in today's day and age. And knowing that you're one of the good ones, always happy to have those ones on the show to get to know you. So thanks a lot for doing this.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Sean.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.